there's only one child.
How old are you?
26.
Young looking, how wonderful. Going to be
Young lady?
young looking forever. Miss Pavelson, you have a child who is, according to what I read, 7 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Is this the father of your child?
Yes, it is.
His name?
Bobby Lubin.
And Miss Clark, Bobby used to be your boyfriend, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And you have a child with him?
Yeah, my daughter Alexis.
She's 11?
Yeah.
According to your complaint, Miss Pavelson, the defendant harassed you by making false charges against you, both with the police and with Child Protective Services.
Yes.
You want compensation.
Yes, I do.
Ms. Clark has a counterclaim. She says that you have been harassing her and made false charges against her. So I gather that this all has to do with the boyfriend. You don't know each other than through the boyfriend?
No.
Is that right?
Yes.
How long haven't you been with Mr. Lubin?
Oh, my daughter was a month old, 11 years.
So a long time.
Yeah.
Anything happened recently that brought him back into your life?
He hadn't seen my daughter in 8 years, and he just came into her life like 3 years ago. And he was ordered to pay child support, $69 a week. And at that time, he consented that my daughter be adopted by my husband.
Is that right, Mr. Lubin?
I'm still paying, Your Honor.
I have
up a
paperwork
second.
right here that he signed it with my lawyer.
Did you consent to, you surrendered your parental rights to the child?
Yes.
And you hadn't seen her in a long time. But you did see her for 3 years?
Yes.
How often?
I seen her every weekend.
Then why would you want to surrender your parental rights?
Due to the stuff that was going on with the false police reports and everything, Sherry and I come upon an agreement to where I would sign my rights away because in the 4 petitions, she already had said that I was to sign my rights away, that Alexis wanted me to sign my rights away. And when we went in front of the judge says, well, you can't do that. You can't sit there and say that the child wants it, that it has to be a mutual agreement between the adults.
Okay. According to what I've read, something happened in June of last year.
Yes, ma'am, it did.
So you want to tell me what happened?
Do you want
How
me
did
to
this
tell her or
start?
you want her?
Let her start.
Okay, on June the 5th, I was going to get radiation treatment on June the 8th. I was getting pre-up for all my medical treatments and everything else. About 5 p.m.
What's your problem?
I had a tumor in my neck. I had thyroid cancer. I had received a phone call from Mrs. Clark here, screaming and hollering, stating, you need to come and get this child out of my home. I guess CJ wasn't there at the time, so she said she only listens to CJ. She doesn't listen to me. I said, stop.
Who's CJ?
CJ's her husband. He's also the one.
So she called you saying you got to come and get this child right away.
Right, but it was more swearing words than just
I
saying
was on
that.
the phone when she had said
I
that.
said, stop right there, Sherry. I said, I hear that you're upset. I'm going through a lot right now. I'm going to give the phone to Mr. Lubin here.
Okay,
You
so
two
then
can
tell me
talk.
the conversation.
When I got onto the phone, she said, come get your daughter. I'm tired of seeing her face. She threw my dinner away. I says, what, you want me to come over there, come get her? She says, get here as fast as you can because the kid's out. I don't care how she's out of the house. I have a picture right here, Your Honor, of the shed.
That she was
that she was in when I went over to the house to pick her up.
First tell me what happened when you went over to the house to get your
When I went to go get my daughter, she was already in the shed. The shed doors were open. I pulled up. I said, Alexis, get inside the car.
Okay, what was she doing in the shed?
She had her bag with her, and she was standing inside the shed.
And you told her to get into the car?
I told her to get into the car. And then what I did is I exited the car, knocked on the door, but she didn't answer the door. So I took the kid to the house. We went to the house. Shannon and I had a discussion.
Stop playing with your papers.
Shannon and I had a discussion. She said it would be on the best interest of you as a father to call child malpractice.
Yep.
So I proceeded to call child malpractice. Child malpractice came over to the house. They took our statements and everything.
And the child was with you at the time?
Yes, ma'am, she was.
Okay.
Because she had went to school.
All right, Miss Clark, let me hear your version of the events, please. Look at me.
Me and Alexis did have an argument that day.
And you lost it?
Yeah, because we had an argument. So she wanted to go to Bob's, and I called Bob, and I asked Bob if he would take her for a couple days. I didn't even speak to Shannon. I spoke to Bob.
What did you have an argument about, Miss Clark?
Doing the dishes. She wouldn't do the dishes. She's at that stage right now where she won't clean the house. She won't help around the house. She's at the cocky stage, and she wouldn't do anything. So she asked me if she can go to her father's for a couple days. And I said, yeah, if you want to go there, fine. So I ended up calling him or whatever. Now, I was in the living room with my son, which is 22 months. watching TV. Alexis was in the back bedroom. Alexis went out the back door into the shed by herself and waited for her father. And Alexis told me she never told her father none of that I locked her in the shed, and they told him I beat her. I got 3 reports. They called 3 times in a row. I got a letter from the village saying that my shed the lock don't even work on the shed. And I have a letter from...
Well, he didn't tell me that it was locked.
She also called child welfare on me, too.
Just a second. I'm not there yet.
Okay.
Listen, Miss Clark, you lost it. You lost it. I absolutely believe Mr. Lubin when he says that you cursed at the child, you cursed at him about the child, and you had lost it. You lost your temper. You lost your temper with your daughter, who was 11 years old. She's a child. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Okay. And he has a perfect right as a father to call Child Protective Services and say that you were behaving irrationally, you were behaving not maternally, you were behaving in a way that could have placed the child at risk. He had a perfect right to call Child Protective Services. Period. End of discussion. It is your claim, however, that as a result of that, she retaliated by making false allegations against you. Now, what do you allege that she did to retaliate?
Okay. June 5th, CPS was called, and she was fully known about CPS being involved because they did investigate. She called me up on the phone on June 6th, screaming and yelling, making over 35 phone calls in one day. And
Can I see the report, please?
He had
What was she saying to you?
She says, if you call CPS, I'll make sure you get beat up. There also is a court order from...
I would like...
Okay.
I would like to see the report.
There is... All right. Sorry.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
When did you and your husband separate?
Last month.
Why?
We just don't get along.
So I assume he's not going to adopt your daughter.
Yeah, he's still adopting her.
You insane?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Shannon Pavlison claims her boyfriend's ex-girlfriend, Sherry Clark, filed false charges with Child Protective Services. Shannon claims Sherry accused her of threatening her 11-year-old daughter.
Miss Clark, on or about June 4th, 5th, or 6th, did you call Miss Pavlison's home on more than 10 occasions?
My husband called at least 5, and I called at least 6, but I wasn't screaming and yelling at her. She was talking to me. She started screaming and yelling at me when CPS was called on me, and I asked her if she did it, and she told me no.
Listen to me, madam. What were the purposes of these acknowledged 11 phone calls?
Because we were calling each other back and forth all day. She was calling my phone.
What were you calling her for?
Because I was calling her to tell her that someone called CPS on me, and she told me that Bob's mother did it.
Okay. She was harassing you. Yes. No question about that.
She
was harassing you.
Same report in
Okay.
2000.
I'm not interested in 2000.
It's the same story going over and
I
over
understand,
again.
but I'm not interested in 2000.
She's-
This
okay.
incident started in 2002.
She, by court order, she's not supposed to be at my house at all or call my house at all.
Excuse me, Your Honor.
Yes.
I had her arrested for threatening my daughter.
I understand that you had her
And I have-
arrested. That's one of the things she's complaining about. That was in 2002?
Yeah, that was just recently.
That was just recently.
Yes.
Well, that's one of the things she's complaining about. I know that you had her arrested. She says the allegations were false. What did you have her arrested for, Miss Clark?
She threatened to beat up my daughter.
Tell me about that.
She called, it was the evening of July 1st, and she was talking to my husband about the CPS. She called my home, and at that time she told my husband to tell me to meet her.
Don't tell me what she told your husband.
Well, she told me to meet her downtown on Niagara Street.
Just a minute. Did you speak to her on the phone?
Yeah, because he gave me the phone after, and she told me to meet her downtown at her parents' house so she could talk to me.
Yes.
And my husband wouldn't let me go. He said, no, don't bother, just leave it alone.
Yes.
And then I said, why did you call CPS on me? And she said, how do you know I called CPS on you? I said, that's what Alexis told me. She said, well, the next time I see Alexis, I'm going to beat her.
Yes.
And then I called the town of Niagara, and the town of Niagara heard it because I taped it, and they sent her the summons and everything, and gave me a restraining order.
Let me hear the tape.
Well, I don't have it. The town of Niagara had it.
Excuse me.
Get it. It belongs to you.
She's been harassing me just as much. You haven't even talked to my daughter yet and asked my daughter anything that she's done to my daughter.
I am not going to speak to your daughter. I'm telling you that you lost your temper.
No, I didn't.
You did. You lost your temper when you call a man who you say had had no interest in his child for 8 years, and you call your child names, which you did in front of her, which there's no question in my mind that you did, and you told him to come and get his blank kid because you had it with her, and you said that in front of the child.
I did. Yeah.
Oh, you damn right you did. I know you did. That is neglect. whether you appreciate it or not, that is neglect. She's the child. She's 11. You're the parent. You're supposed to be the adult. Not only do you have one child who's 11, you have a 22-month-old. You're supposed to be the parent. You're not supposed to lose your cool. And you did. And if she called CPS on you, she had every right to do that. And if you called CPS on her, you had no right to do it because you had no grounds to call CPS on her. Now, what proof do you have that she called Child Protective Services with regard to you?
I think it's up there with the police report. It's addressed straight to Mr. Lubin on the 7th. The very day before she had me arrested. She went down to Child Protective Services and put that petition up.
Did you call Child Protective Services on Miss Pavelson?
No, I didn't.
Did your husband?
Not to my knowledge. I don't know. I don't know everything he does.
Really?
We're separated. We don't even live together.
Well, you were living together at the time, I assume, because you said that he called her house 5 times from your phone.
He don't know anything that's going on here. I don't know if he...
You listened to what I just said to you. At approximately the same time in June of 2002, you just told me that he called 5 times from your home. You called 6 times, so he must have been there.
Yeah.
So on June 8th, you were not separated. So I'm asking you whether either he or you called Child Protective Services.
No, we didn't.
No, I don't believe you. What happened as a result of the statement that she made to the police that you threatened to eat her child?
All counts got dropped. If you want to read her statement, it's a pretty bogus statement, which she
would
wrote
like to see it.
that I had said. She changed her story so many times and then petitioned us 5 times after the police report to family court, changed her story all then. And Alexis Lubin was never in the home the night of that phone call.
Mr. Lubin, this indicates, it says on June 8th, Ms. Pavelson called the house, and then she alleges that you said she was going to beat up her 10-year-old daughter because the 10-year-old daughter is the reason that Shannon and her daddy broke up, and she's the reason her daddy is in jail. Were you in jail?
Yes, ma'am.
For what?
Domestic violence.
Against?
Ms. Pavelson.
We got in a massive argument after what was going on. I was in an outrage, and they automatically arrested him.
Well, you
because
called
we
the police.
both were yelling in the house.
You must have called the police.
Yes, I did. I just wanted him removed because
What did you?
I was upset.
What did
Okay.
you allege when you called the police? Did you allege that he hit you?
I alleged that because I had a big goiter in my throat.
Did you allege
Yes.
that he hit you?
Yes, grabbed me.
So that you
Grabbed me.
lied?
No.
Unless he hit you. Or
No,
grabbed you.
he just grabbed me, and that's what they arrested him for.
They arrested me for physically restraining her, Your Honor.
Because I did go after him.
What'd you go after him for?
I was under so much stuff, so much stress before my radiation, and I couldn't handle it anymore. I just couldn't handle it. I said, something's got to get done here. I don't know what I did wrong. My whole house was just disrupted. So bad. Real bad.
Miss Clark, when did you and your husband separate?
Last month.
Why?
We just don't get along.
So I assume he's not going to adopt your daughter.
Yeah, he's still adopting her.
Are you insane? Why
No.
would you want to do that?
Because he don't want nothing to do with her. I mean, my daughter loves my husband. I mean, he's does everything for her. He would never take that out on my child.
How long are you married to him?
5 years. He don't feel it's right to take it out on her.
Your Honor, it goes like this. I had brought my youngest daughter here, and my youngest daughter asked to see Alexis, and she refused.
Look, I
Just
got
because,
pictures.
and it's not nothing to do with us. It's just for the kids.
I got pictures of how much they loved each other. I have pictures of the things I bought Alexis when she's with me. She loves
Listen
me.
to me. Miss Clark is a very angry lady. Unfortunately, she visits her anger on innocence. Children are innocents.
Yeah.
If they are reacting to something, they're reacting to what they see in their home, they're reacting to seeing their parents fight, they're reacting to seeing their mother angry, they're reacting to seeing their stepfather reacting to their mother. They're reacting. They're born as blank slates. Whatever they are, we make of them. Do you understand that, Miss Clark?
Yes.
Whatever your daughter is, if she is obstinate, if she's difficult, she is that way because of you. Because according to you, he wasn't around.
Right.
So you created an environment for her, and it seems to me continue to create an environment for her that is unhealthy. I say that to you because you care so little about her emotional stability that you insisted on bringing her into the courtroom today to hear all of this stuff, despite the fact that you were advised that that was not an appropriate thing to do. You insisted. That's why I'm telling you that you have a certain immaturity as a parent, that you are visiting on the rearing of your child. So there isn't a question in my mind that you called Child Protective Services on the plaintiff. There isn't a question in my mind that you initiated a police investigation. Ultimately, those charges of threatening the child were dropped. The problem is that everybody is going to suffer, but most particularly the children are going to suffer. They have a child who evidently is close to your child, or at least spent time with her. They want the two girls to see each other. You said no. You said no for absolutely no valid reason. You allow people to come in and out of your daughter's life. First, Mr. Lubin, then your husband, then you take the children away out of spite. Then you say your husband, from whom you are separated, is going to adopt your child because you think that he is going to remain a force in your child's life. And I'm here to tell you that biological parents very often don't maintain the contact, as Mr. Lubin is a testament to that. You're expecting somebody who has no biological attachment to your child at all is going to want to come and visit with that child and have to deal with you on a regular basis until she's 18 years old. And I'm telling you, that's just not going to happen. So you're going to follow through with terminating his parental rights. You're going to have somebody else who's not going to have any contact with this child, all for your own selfish purposes. Sick.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
Okay. All I'm suggesting to you is it's grow-up time. You have 2 children?
Yeah.
You've already done a number on your 11-year-old's head. You have a 22-month-old, a little more of a blank slate. I don't know what your husband's plans are with regard to the 22-month-old. He's a good guy or a bad guy, or he
Takes good care of my son.
Well, that's good. If he takes good care of your son, there'll be a point when he'll want full custody of him, and then that child probably won't have a problem, although I haven't met the husband. In any event, your counterclaim is dismissed, Ms. Clark, but on the original complaint, which I have, I find that you did engage in a course of conduct through absolutely no fault of the plaintiff that caused her to be harassed by Child Protective Services and the